Hey guys, this is going to be a short video on how to evaluate gathering and cooking profits in BDO. Discussing live scaling profits in this game is often difficult because people tend to have different notions of how profit should be calculated. In my opinion, having a reasonable discussion about profit comes down to understanding the notions other people may have and respecting them. So in this video, I attempt to give an overview of different methods to evaluate profits and also sketch out when to use them. So let's get into it. Our objective for this video is to cook 1 hour of King of Jungle hamburgs, right? And to do that, we go to Ancado Coast with the purpose of gathering line meat, and then at that mastery, that would take us about 7 hours, getting the line meat required for 1 hour of cooking. All right, and in the end, we would come out with about 2.15 billion in profit. Now, that's all nice, but what if we were interested in actually finding out where that profit came from? So how much of that profit was generated by the gathering part and how much by the cooking part? And yeah, in this video, I will present 3 methods on kind of investigating that. The first method is we basically calculate the profits independently. So we calculate firstly the gathering profits as if we were to sell the line meat, and then also the cooking profits on top of selling the line meat. For method number 2, we simply take all of the profit generated and then we average it out onto the time. So we basically say that we treat gathering and cooking time the same, and we calculate the average profit of that. All right, then the method number 3, which is a bit more involved. What we do here, we basically say that the time we spend cooking has a fixed value or fixed cost, and then we take the total profit, subtract the cost of the cooking time, and then spread out all of the profit that's left onto the gathering time. All right, here are the details. So again, in our example, we assume 7 hours of gathering, and then to follow that 1 hour of cooking. So yeah, for the method number 1, again, the idea is to calculate the profits independently, or like individually, I think that's the better word. So yeah, let's go ahead and open the cooking calculator of our choice. Here I'm using BDO day. And as you can see, I've punched in the crafts for 1 hour of cooking, also my proc rate. And one thing that's important to point out here is that we entered the market price for the line meat, and not only that, we also taxed it. That is because we want to calculate the cooking profit on top of selling the line meat. And yeah, that's there can even be hypothetically on top of like if you were to sell the line meat. That's the important thing here. We don't actually have to have the intention of selling it. All right. And then here you can see that in that hour of cooking, we make about 855 million in profit. And the number of line meat required to do that is about 70k. All right, then next up is the calculator made. And here we can see that if we basically we gather and then we take the line meat and sell it to the market, or we pretend we do, then the money we make is about 186 million an hour. And for that 70k line meat we need for the hour of cooking, we would have to gather about, let's run it, of course, 7 hours, right? Okay, cool. Then let's go back to the sheet. And as you can see here, we are making about 186 million an hour gathering, as you see. That's the same number from the calculator. And then also 855 million an hour cooking. That's also the same as we just saw here on BDO day. All right. And then one thing that's really important to me here is basically if the material we are gathering sits on the market, so we can realistically buy it, or also like we don't have to feel bad about selling it in a way, then this method of calculating things is perfectly fine, and this is the only method you should use. Yeah, again, given that the material is readily available to buy on the market. But in our case here, lion meat is heavily pre-ordered, and yeah, then since it's pre-ordered, one could argue that the cooking profit, which is honestly pretty insane, I mean 855 million an hour, that cooking profit was only enabled by like going out there and gathering the lion meat. So ideally, we would attribute some of that cooking profit to the gathering time. And this is what the next two methods here are going to be about. Okay, and then very quickly, so I called the method one here naive because it kind of assumes that, yeah, that the gathering and the cooking here are not dependent in either way, which at least for the lion meat, that doesn't hold. Right, and then those two here are called model because basically they are not like an accurate description of what's happening in game. Because I mean, in game here you make some money gathering and then you make some money cooking. You're done with it. But according to those models here, kind of the profit is split up in a different way. Again, according to whatever the model here says. And also the model comes with some assumptions. I will go over those later in the video. All right, then for the method number two, actually what we do is pretty simple. We just take the total profit generated and then divide it by all of the time spent either gathering or cooking. Right, so we take the 2.15 bill divided by 7 plus 1 hours. There we go. We arrive at 269 million an hour cooking and also gathering. Right, those are the same to us, the cooking and the gathering. Again, according to the model. All right, yeah, and then you can see here what's nice about this is that like the profit generated corresponds exactly to the time spent. So if we spend 1 hour cooking and then 7 hours gathering, the gathering profit will be exactly 7 times higher than the cooking profit. All right, that's nice and all, but one could even argue that 269 million from cooking is still a lot. And for example, if you were to look at other cooking recipes, something that you can spam very easily, say fig pie, you'd say that you can make, I don't know, say about 100 million an hour from making fig pie, right? So the 269 mil is still way above that here, right? So then one could say that they'd be down to cook, and they don't care if it's fig pie, if it's hamburgs, just anything that has to be cooked will be cooked, at least if it's making 100 million an hour, right? Okay, and then since we basically, yeah, we're paying ourselves 100 million an hour here in this example, and then that would leave some of the profit, and we attribute it to the gathering part. All right. Yeah, so basically the difference to the model number 2 here is that instead of treating the cooking time and the gathering time the same, right? You can see here in the assumptions. What we say is that gathering and cooking time are in fact not the same, and we are fine with getting less money an hour than from the cooking than for gathering, which can make sense, of course, because cooking is a bit more AFK. I guess it's semi-AFK, while gathering is fully active. Yeah, so IMO, it's fine to expect less money from the cooking, but of course that is personal preference, and yeah, depends on the way you play the game. All right, then a quick note on if you're familiar with true values. For example, I go over that in my blog, or also they appear in my sheets from time to time. That basically the method number 3 here corresponds to calculating the true value. So I'll quickly sketch that out. Basically, if we were to calculate the true value of lion meat given a time cost of 100 mil, we would arrive at about 23k per lion meat. And then if we take that and plug that into the direct calculator, and also not tax it because the true value already has the tax included. There we go. We would arrive at 293 million per hour, which is exactly the same as calculated here. So the true value can be used to kind of calculate the profit according to this model if we don't have access to how much exactly we spent cooking or gathering. Right, so it's kind of time independent. All right, to summarize it, I'll quickly fill out the results here for the different methods. So method number one, again, how we arrive at the profit for gathering and cooking is basically we look it up in the calculator. 1 hour of cooking, 855 million. Right. There we go. Same thing here for this one. We, of course, revert it back to the market price and also the tax market price. There we go. That's the 186 million. Then for method number two, so we would simply take the total profit and then divide it by all of the time spent. That's 7 hours gathering, 1 hour cooking. There we go, 269. We do the same thing for the cooking. And then for the method number three, we start with the cooking. That's easier because we say cooking time is worth 100 mil in this case. And then basically how to calculate this one, we take the total profit, subtract the cost of the cooking. 1 hour cooking at 100 mil an hour cost is 100 mil exactly. Yeah, and then we divide it by the time spent gathering. So that's only the 7 hours here. There we go, that's 293 mil. Right, and then you can see here that if you compare method number 3 and 2, that the gathering profit in number 3 is a bit higher, but of course the cooking profit is a bit lower. Okay, so then why would you use those methods in the first place? I'd say they're kind of not too interesting if you just look at one activity, here in this case the lion meat gathering and hamburg cooking, but they become really, really useful if you want to compare different activities. So for example, if I was to try and find out if I want to gather and cook or maybe grind, then I could simply here calculate the profit according to method number 2. And right, so let's say grinding I can make about 300 mil an hour. Then yeah, I can either go ahead and gather for 7 hours, cook for 1 hour, yeah, and then in this case make 269 mil an hour on average. Or I could grind and make a 300 mil an hour, right? So it's really easy to compare different activities just based on the hourly. The same thing from method number 3 here, with the difference that, for example, we happen to have a different semi-AFK activity, for example, bartering. And then say that we make 150 million an hour bartering, and we're down to do that instead of cooking. Like, we don't care if we cook or barter, that's just the same to us. Right, and then we could calculate we set the time cost here as 150 million and calculate the gathering profit. Of course, that would be a bit lower than 293 here. And based on that, we could decide if whatever alternative activity we could do in our active time instead of gathering, if that's more or less than that number here. So basically, we could decide between cooking and gathering, and for example, bartering and grinding, or even cooking and gathering something else. Yeah, you can do that very easily using this method. All right, that's it for this video. I hope I didn't confuse you too much, and maybe you even learned something. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.